fuck. I hit the button. Well, fuck me. Well, fuck me.
What was that?
Fuck me. I thought we were live. I hit the button. It didn't fucking take. My bad.
Out live.
All right. Sorry. For some reason, this new fucking thing that they have you doing is fucked up. I looked at it and it said go live, and I hit the button and it didn't take. So, how's everybody doing?
Round 2. We're good.
Take 2.
Oh, whatever. So, oh god, they're rubbing shit all over their body. So, I'm watching Vacation. It's Vacation.
What the fuck?
Vacation, in the part where they're in the fucking raw sewage.
Oh god, that's hard.
No.
So, we're going to start off with not a lot happened with the news. WWE had more news this week. I do want to welcome, which I didn't do the first time, I do want to welcome everybody that is on the show as well. We got Heather with me, Trek, Bobbit, Basement, and Gina. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. Hopefully Ronnie will be here for Impact. I don't know.
I'm doing excellent, and I'm feeling smaller.
Yep. So we'll start off with the big thing of the week that I considered the big thing of the week. It's been an ongoing conversation over the last, about a month and a half. Killer Kross signed with WWE along with Timothy Thatcher. I don't know much about Timothy Thatcher. I've heard of him, and I've heard that he is one of those guys that WWE wanted so bad. They got him, and he would not sign with them, and he finally did. Killer Kross is the big signing. Everybody was wondering where he was going. I want to say this right off the top of the bat. People need to stop saying that WWE's hoarding talent. They chose to go there. So people need to stop saying that WWE's hoarding talent. These guys are fucking Americans or whatever they are. They get to pick and choose where they want to fucking go. Killer Kross probably could have signed with anybody in the world, and they would have been happy. He just chose to go to WWE.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Heather?
Somebody tweeted to Killer Kross, and they said to him, "We're just glad you found somewhere to go." And he replied with, "I am too, and we're actually having a lot of fun."
So,
Go
ahead, Gina.
I honestly, I'm not one of those people that's worried about Killer Kross and WWE, whether he's main roster or NXT, to be quite honest, because he has that, not only the body type, but the type of mentality that WWE loves.
Mm-hmm.
So they might tweak his character a little bit, but that's to be expected. I mean, WWE is going to tweak people's characters to what they need and what their audience or what audience they're aiming at. So it's to be expected. People are probably going to get pissed when his character gets tweaked, but expect it to happen.
Yep.
But I do expect big things from him.
Yep. I've heard that Vince absolutely loves him. So we'll see.
Well, he's a worker.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
I will say this, and Gina brings up an interesting point. Buddy Murphy is no longer Buddy Murphy. He's just Murphy.
Who cares, right?
No
in my mind.
shit. People, why? You give me content to fucking just make you look like a fucking fool every fucking time. Are you gonna stop calling him Buddy Murphy because WWE calls him Murphy?
Well,
what the fuck is in a goddamn fucking name?
Well, and the thing is, I put out a tweet last night, actually, because I didn't get to watch SmackDown. I passed out cold last night. But when I woke up, I saw a lot of people still going on with this. His name is Chad Gable. His name is Chad Gable, where they would just repeat it like 15 times. And so I put out a tweet, and I'm like, actually, his name is actually Charles Bates. Yep. Or Betts or whatever it is.
Yep.
I'm like, can we stop with his name is Chad Gable thing already? I'm like, he chose to be Shorty G, so just fucking let him be Shorty G. Yeah, it's a fucking stupid name, but he chose it.
I also
Yeah.
think like the argument with the name thing, it only really holds any water when that name is already established. Like in certain cases, like I could see someone saying, "I'm upset that he's not called Broken Matt Hardy, just Matt Hardy now because that's the moniker of the gimmick and the gimmick goes with it." But with someone like fucking Buddy Murphy, I don't even give a shit what they call him. He hasn't really established that name to mean anything at this point in time.
Well, and they did the exact same thing with Mustafa Ali. They dropped it and just started calling him Ali.
And now all of a sudden he's Mustafa Ali again.
Yeah.
I mean, and also it comes down to the case of Cesaro. When he first came to the company, he was Antonio Cesaro.
Yep.
In some cases, it works better. I still think, like, I mean, Murphy is whatever you want to call it. It would probably be better just using something a bit more catchy, just so people remember it. Something like a double M, like a Mike Murphy or something like along those lines. Just something that is easier to remember. Murphy doesn't stand out to me as much, but I don't care really.
The only way that I could see like Murphy being good, in this case, is if they like, let's say they give him a finishing move and they call it like Murphy's Law, or some crap like that. You know, in order to make his finisher go with his
I think it
name.
was called that though.
Also, like Buddy does not scream to me like top talent. I don't want to. Like, you're never gonna be like. He's gonna, I know, he's gonna be the fucking leader of the whole fucking division, Buddy Murphy. Really,
I'm
fucking
gonna be
Scott
Shorty
Stanford
G, yeah,
2.0.
But
Your buddy,
wasn't-
your pal.
Then make
wasn't-
fun of them like they were short D.
But wasn't Buddy Murphy's finisher called Murphy's Law?
I think
I
it
thought
is.
was.
Is it? Well, there you
think
go.
so.
It goes better then. Like I honestly didn't know that was his finisher, but whatever.
No, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say.
The guy's name is Seth Rollins, but most people just call him Rollins. When it comes down to it, to be honest, like when we talk about him and Rollins, I hope Rollins wins the title. We're not going to say Seth Rollins.
Aleister Black. Usually
Black?
we don't call Aleister Black. We usually could just. I call him Aleister.
Yeah, one of the two. Right?
Like,
It's just. I just. Why are
It's a
people so?
non-topic, really.
It is, and
GP, I'm gonna make sure to call you by your full name from now on.
go ahead. I will kill you. No, I'm just kidding.
like,
No,
it
look,
was Serum saying now to Triple H. It's like, it didn't hurt him to change his name.
well, that was. He had input, and I think these guys have input as well. I don't think they change their name just to change the name. I think they actually get the input of the talent.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about Killer Cross before we move on from the whole thing, I believe he's going to NXT personally, but it's just mainly because, and we've discussed this before, the people that know him won't pop for him as much on Raw and SmackDown. There'll still be a pop, but it won't be as big as it could be if he establishes himself as a household name in NXT first. Plus, what the fuck are they going to use him for on Raw or SmackDown first? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
They already
I
have
just
established
got
storylines. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just got an image of like fucking Killer Cross versus Finn Balor, Killer Cross versus Adam Cole,
the
Killer Cross
opportunities
versus
are like
fucking
endless.
Keith Lee. Oh my
Ciampa,
god,
Keith Lee,
Versus
fucking.
Ciampa.
I'm
Matt
giddy
Riddle.
just at the thought of it.
I mean, you could also say the same thing about him being on the main roster. Killer Cross versus Roman Reigns.
But I feel like an introduction. I honestly still think, no matter what, the way to introduce new people is that don't have a huge following already
Mhm.
is NXT, because
I
it's much
agree.
more accessible for the wrestling side of things. I feel like Raw and SmackDown, you go out there and you don't have a character that people can understand or get with. Even if you're great in ring, you're going to be lost in the shuffle.
Well, and I'm gonna say this
Okay.
about Killer Cross. Like, I will say that like if there's anybody that they've hired within the past, I'm gonna say 3 to 5 years that
Mhm.
would be main roster ready, it's probably him because he does have the promo skills to back it up, and he has the wrestling skills as well. So he has it all. But I agree with Basement. I would rather see him go to NXT.
I'd rather
Right.
see him go to NXT and maybe them taking one of those top guys and moving them to SmackDown or Raw, just
Yeah.
because you don't want that roster to get overcrowded with a 2-hour show that features women just as much as it does men, and the men's roster is bigger than the women's already. And they have a
Right.
bunch of people right now that aren't being featured or are on hiatus due to injury. Their
Mhm.
roster is pretty big for NXT, and at this point in time, adding talent to them means you have to move talent away.
Mhm.
And it's about time Raw and SmackDown trim some of the fat, because they've got people on there that I understand why they keep him around. It's not just for the wrestling portion, but at some point in time, you can only load up so much before you have to subtract something.
Well, here's my thing. They bring these jobber guys
They don't
to
need him.
take on the Viking Raiders or Aleister Black. They could have used the talent that they have backstage as those set jobbers. They used to
Bo
do that.
Dallas, Curtis Axel,
Yes.
Heath Slater.
Yes. Well, Heath
fucking
Slater was actually on the show last night. So
yeah, but like I mean that's like the amount of time these guys get featured. The jobbers get more time than the actual wrestling talent that they don't use.
Agreed. I personally don't care what Killer Cross. I've been drinking again. I personally
the black mass has hit him.
I personally don't care where Killer Cross goes. I've never seen the guy wrestle personally. So we'll see. We'll see what he brings to the table. I've heard people say he might even be main roster ready to be thrown into the immediate mid card.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I've seen him wrestle, and like, I mean, when it comes to wrestling, I'll tell you flat out if he's not ready. I honestly think the dude would be ready for main roster.
I think I saw him wrestle one match, and in that match, he reminds me a lot of a WWE main card talent. Okay. I don't know I have no idea what he's like on the mic, but I'm sure he's got to be okay coming from Impact and being featured there so much.
He's actually pretty damn good on the mic. Like, he does a lot of promos and shit, promo work on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that he is pretty good, and he's really good with the fans too. So I think WWE will like him a lot.
As much as I would have loved to have seen him go to New Japan or even AEW, I think WWE ultimately was the right decision, not only just for him, but for his relationship, because, Scarlett's in NXT as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with NXT, he'll get to shine. He's not going to be lost in the scuffle with them, at least.
Right.
Well, the other big news of the week, and it's not really even news, it's just a talking point, is the network. We're gonna give our thoughts on it. I'm gonna tell you what I think, and then I'm just gonna pass it around the room. There's this rumor going around that Vince McMahon, which he's probably in talking about putting, because let's keep in mind, everybody, WWE still does have their pay-per-views on the satellites. Dish, DirecTV, they still have a contract where they have the pay-per-view out there. The easier access is for the WWE Network, the $9.99. Personally, them moving the stream to Fox, and I've heard it's actually NBC Universal. Is that correct, Trek?
Yeah, they're talking about the Peacock.
Go ahead.
Service.
Okay, so essentially, USA is owned by NBC.
Yep.
So it's not like WWE would be going to ABC to stream their pay-per-views. And I'm telling you right now, it'd probably be $20 a month. Because it'd be a premium service, because WWE's got to make their money somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think they're moving anything away. And that's why I don't think it's going to happen, because they're not moving anything away from the WWE Network. The WWE Network will still have a streaming service, and they will still stream all the pay-per-views, even WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and all that. But are they really the big pay-per-views? Because they all feel the fucking same. I mean, yeah, WWE.
So WrestleMania is the only one that kind of feels different at this point in time.
I'm actually kind of wondering if they're planning on doing this with all of their pay-per-views, or if it's just mainly like giving another access point for those people that usually buy it through cable.
See, so that's what I'm thinking.
Because like maybe it's just like a cheaper alternative for them, because a lot of people probably aren't buying it.
And two, with them moving to Fox, people on Fox Sports Go who have that $20 a month, they might up the price a few dollars just because they're putting WWE on their streaming service, people, that's new fans.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
essentially the key right there. WWE is looking like WWE is very progressive in how it markets. They're very regressive in very many things, but they're progressive in how they can read way the world is changing. And streaming services are watched by probably more people than regular cable TV at this point in time. It's just another access point for people to watch. Now, I don't agree for them to share everything because it devalues their own network. There's a fine line between more exposure and devaluing what you've already got. But much to Gina's point, if they're going to do this, maybe a select few pay-per-views go live at the same time they're on WWE Network, or maybe you put the Super Showdowns or whatever the fuck they do in Saudi Arabia exclusively on there, and the network gets them next day, because those are really showcases anyway. That's how a new fan might get into it.
Yep.
Because the storylines are there's non-existent most of the time for Super Showdown or Saudi Arabia's Sex Fest.
And you got to keep in mind that these streaming services, people are, especially if it's sports oriented, they want to see sports oriented shit. They don't give a fuck about Lana fucking Rusev and how their fucking marriage is working.
Right.
They don't care. That's the fans. That's what the fans want today. Nobody gives a shit about the soap opera bullshit. Only those. Don't take this the wrong way, girls. Only those teeny bopper girls that think that, oh my God, Roman is so hot. Is he wonder, when is he going to get involved in a love story kind of fucking thing? Come on.
I mean, they have the same fans with
that's
like
not
men too. Yeah, they have the same fucking male fans that are just like, he's just my favorite. I love him. I love everything about him.
Yeah.
Dude, so tell me a wrestling move. Well, I don't really know any, but I would really I'd lick the sweat off his ball sack if I had the chance.
Right. And that's essentially what I'm getting at. But I mean, those are the kind of people, if you want to get new fans, and it's going to be really hard when you have one of your top storylines is Lana and Rusev, and I don't even know if that storyline is going to go on, because right now Rusev is in talks with the contract again. I don't know.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, we talked about that last night. I don't think he's going anywhere either, but I just, people that are sports oriented and want that sports feel, you've been hearing that all year about the new look for AEW has that sports feel to it. WWE needs to get behind that and like, okay, so we can still do our storylines, but the wrestling aspect of it, where we're going to make our money on the pay-per-views, needs to be about wrestling, not what's going on for the story.
I will say this is a perfect opportunity. If it was me and I was in discussions to do something with another network, I'd say perfect opportunity for WWE to limit the amount of storyline-driven pay-per-views per year. Yep. Go down to 9, use the excess time and the other times when you would have a pay-per-view to still do them, but do like a Clash of Champions or a Survivor Series. Maybe not Survivor Series, but a Clash of Champions or a King of the Ring. Something that's just like going to be focused, like a King of the Ring is perfect. Something like that, and do that on that network, and then have it air on the WWE network after the fact. Right. Just something that's out of, it doesn't have anything to do with Raw and SmackDown being built. And like that's why I would say put the Saudi Arabian shit and a couple other pay-per-views and have them be there, and have them be a showcase of the best talent you have, just having dream matches because nothing matters.
Well, it's sad to say, but I'm telling you right now that if they take all of their pay-per-views off of the network, which I do not, I have a hard time.
It seems like such a stupid business decision, but
it's a horrible business decision, because if you do that, people are not going to go and buy another streaming service. If anything, you're just going to lose money, because there's going to be a lot more people pirating the shit.
Yep.
Well, what they're going to lose is network revenue. They'll still make it through other things because that's how WWE works, but you don't want to devalue the network and what they built up for what it's worth. Because as soon as you start devaluing it, people aren't going to become subscribers, and that's the guaranteed money. You have a contract with Fox, you have a contract with USA and all these other guys. You don't own them, and that contract can end, and then you're up shit's creek.
Yep. Orbit, Trek.
Well, like we talked about last night, and Heather reminded me of this too, that this was the WWE Network was always Vince's vision. We go back as far as WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 2, where he was willing to pull it off of cable companies because he was going to make it on his own network, and then he went back and did it. He went back to them and did it anyway. So this is always his vision. So if he pulled the pay-per-views off, that would just be dumb, and he would just look like a hypocrite if he did that anyway. It's like I could see them doing a sampling on other streams. There's like Peacock or something that wherever it's going to be called an NBC stream, NBC Universal. But like we said, he's not going to pull every single pay-per-view off. That'd just be career suicide.
I don't think he's pulling any pay-per-views off. That's my point. I don't think he is.
The smartest way to do it is do simulcast on that other network and the WWE network at the same time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say that. I don't agree with that either, because at the same time now, if I've got Fox Sport, if I'm a guy that watches sports, and a lot of people that watch wrestling watch other sports, and I've already subscribed to them, I'm not going to keep the rest, like WWE Network and that streaming service. I'm going to choose the one that has the sports I watch, not all the original wrestling content, which is nowhere near the same draw as sports television.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, the delayed things are good. Like, if they want to put WrestleMania on there or Royal Rumble, put them on a day later on that other thing. Because, I'm a young kid, say, and my dad has Fox Sports streaming service or whatever it is. And that means I can watch wrestling. It's going to be a day late, but I'll still watch it. It's something good for them. At least they have access to it, right?
Yep.
Without purchasing another $9.99, $12.99, whatever the fuck it is.
Yep.
And it's like Heather said, that they would never shut the network down anyway because they have too much original content on their, like, Table for Three. They have all the other stuff like Ride Along on the network and stuff. That's where
shut the network down, and they might as well shoot themselves in the head.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't give a fuck about Table for Three or any. Don't get me wrong.
Nice
Every
extras,
once in a while, they will have like a good one. They're nice little extras. But the whole reason why I have the network is because of the pay-per-views. So if you take the pay-per-views away from the network, guess what? I'm not going to have the network anymore.
Especially after moving NXT off of it. Like, to me, you shouldn't push further than that. Right. That we all expected NXT to become a regular TV show at some point in time, especially with how good they have gotten. But you take that away, and like within the same year, you're in talks to move the other things away. It's just it's brain dead business moves. And WWE doesn't make brain dead business moves.
No, they don't. They don't. Robert, do you have anything to add?
No, because y'all hit the nail on the head. Pretty much what I wanted to say. Like, I agree with y'all. Like, for like pay-per-views like Hell in a Cell that nobody really gives a fuck about. Yeah. Like, do like a 24-hour exclusive on that other site and then put it on the network. So that way nobody really gives a shit.
All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the wellness policy. I don't know if we talked about this last week or not, but I know
we touched on it a little bit.
I know that Andrade tested positive or failed a test. And then it comes out that Rey Mysterio possibly failed a test. Like 6 other superstars failed a test.
The only thing confirmed, from my understanding,
AJ Styles was rumored to have failed the wellness policy. What?
Samoa Joe was rumored until they killed him.
No, Samoa Joe got shot down. He's out with a concussion.
So did AJ Styles with a separated shoulder.
So did AJ Styles with a separated shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, all that shit always happens, though. It happens with everything out there. Fucking Kobe Bryant crashed at some point in time. Like, half the Lakers were in the same helicopter. Like, it's just the way the news goes. They always add to the story to spice it up, get those clicks. But in this case, I'd just say Almas, and that's it. Until other things get released, it's who knows.
Right. I know that we've been saying it, but I think that Sasha Banks is legit hurt.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now, they're changing up who they were going to have. I think it was going to be her and Bayley at WrestleMania, but they changed things up, and now they're going a different way. So I don't know if she's going to be out for a while. And thank God, because who cares about Sasha
I mean, it might be a blessing in disguise. What they were doing with her and Bailey together wasn't really working. The one thing I will say about this, the one thing that stands out the most, Sasha Banks is unfortunately she can't be trusted, and health reasons are the same reasons as everything else. If you can't stay healthy, you can't be one of the mainstays or one of the top guys or girls or whatever you want to call them in the company because they can't trust you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Bobbit, Trek, Gina.
I agree completely, pretty much with what you guys said.
I agree as well.
Yeah, and it might be a blessing in disguise for Sasha Banks because how far was that really gonna go until she turned, I don't know, turn heel, turn face on Bailey again? It's like, we were expected that at WrestleMania, but being off the shows for a while might give her a little bit of a fresh start when she comes back.
I'd rather see her come back and go after Bailey just right away.
Me too.
That solidifies their break. That solidifies her as a standalone heel.
Yep.
The thing is, with Sasha Banks, they brought her back. They flipped her heel. And at first, I was like, oh, right, yeah,
And then they
awesome.
fucking soft-dicked it.
But, yeah, exactly. They soft-dicked it. Because, for me, if you're going to turn Sasha Banks heel, then you need to turn her back into that boss character that did not need anybody. Whether it was Bailey or fucking Charlotte or whoever, she didn't need anybody. She was completely on her own, and she was a badass on her own. That's what she needs to go back to, because it seemed like she was just kind of, and I know that this wasn't her, this was just the way the storyline was, but it came off as if she was leaning on Bailey in order to be this badass.
The problem was they turned Bailey heel, and then they turned Sasha heel. Bailey should have never really turned if they wanted to do that with Sasha. And the right storyline was... They should have
kept Sasha face. It would have been something different.
Well, yeah, or that. One of them had to be one or the other, right? But the right storyline there was to have them do what they did and have them come out in the ring. Oh, friends, we're friends. And then immediately do the turn like Randy Orton with Edge.
Right.
Yep.
Don't do this fucking besties for half a year for no fucking reason that makes any sense.
Right. I got a little question for you guys before we end the show as well. Just your thoughts. See, moving on. Asuka and Becky. Asuka challenged Becky, and Becky, of course, I don't know what they're fucking doing with this fucking shit. This is getting ridiculous with Becky. Becky, it needs to die.
You know what?
I don't care.
I have a feeling that she might. I have a feeling she's going to die at WrestleMania.
Well,
Not literally, but I have a feeling that the title is being taken off of her at Mania.
I feel like it has to be because right now she's become she's still like, I don't know, borderline face heel, whatever, like that tweener, but she's become so confident and arrogant that it has to be taken off of her. But it's too much with the Asuka thing. Asuka should have won, and now that she didn't, I don't need to see it anymore.
Well,
in my mind, the point has been proven. If they want to do a rubber match or whatever you want to call it at this point, then fix that up at Elimination Chamber and move on.
Well, they're doing it Monday night.
Okay,
yeah,
well, fix it up at Monday night.
The thing is with Becky, she had something gold, and we've talked about it before, but she had something gold, and it could have been great, but she has gotten so arrogant. Okay, the best thing about Stone Cold was, yeah, he was an asshole at times, but that was part of his character. But he was never an arrogant, he didn't come off with that arrogance. You know what I mean? And that was usually more Triple H's thing, which works for his character, but it doesn't work for Becky.
The thing is, Stone Cold was a winner, but he wasn't a long-term winner.
Yes.
He'd win, hold the belt for a while, everyone would love it.
Same
And
with
before
Triple
it got sour, someone would screw him and would maintain his face and tweener status as he would chase the title again. When he eventually did turn heel, it was like he was comical, kind of, you know?
Well,
Yes.
and back in the day, it was so incredibly rare to have a long-term champion. I'm going to say, back in, the end of the Attitude Era into early Ruthless Aggression, it was very, very rare to have somebody hold a championship for longer than 4 to 6 months. because they were always, they had so many pop stars back then that they were kind of bouncing it around a little bit.
This is also like the same problem that's plaguing them in other areas, especially on the main roster. When I say that, Raw and SmackDown, they seem to listen to the fans, but listen too much and go 100% in one direction. There's a sweet spot that they keep missing, and it's the same with titles. It's like, oh, you want long title reigns? Here they are.
Yeah.
But that's not the long title reign we really wanted, and it doesn't fit the character you put it on. So, I mean, there's a disconnect there with how they do things, and I'm with you 100%. I mean, she does need to lose it because her having the title at this point in time diminishes the title. Her character isn't dead, but keeping that title on her is killing her every fucking week she comes out with it.
Yep. I just don't even care about Becky. I just don't. I just don't care. Just do not care.
JP, you're muted.
No, I'm not.
I think it's because Wendy's crying.
Yeah, nobody was talking.
I'm sorry. I was muted to you guys, but I wasn't muted for the show.
Oh.
Sorry. I again don't care about Becky. I do not care.
Really?
I have not cared since she won the Royal Rumble, and that was over a year ago.
I mean, as soon as Ronda Rousey left, I didn't. And this is not just because she left. It's just the way things went after that. They kind of regressed with the women's push and everything. Like it stopped. I stopped caring because a lot of the people that were left over couldn't pull the weight left behind by someone legitimate.
Yep.
And Becky Lynch did what she could do for as long as she could do, but they're fucking bringing her towel completely dry at this point in time.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
I'm not gonna lie. I still love Becky. I do, but I don't love her what she's doing right now. I love the Becky Lynch that came out swinging her hair around and wearing those stupid ass goggles and shit. You know.
The steampunk girl. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Becky that I loved because like she was decent in the ring, but she was having fun while doing it. And now it's just like they Seth Rollins her.
Yeah, well, I mean, then I remember watching that Corey Graves behind the fucking thing, whatever the fuck he was talking about, like his podcast, right?
Yeah, after the bell.
And he was saying, you're seeing like a change in the way people view wrestling, and the same things that happened with Seth Rollins and with Roman Reigns is now happening with Becky. I'm like thinking in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you think they would have learned from the mistake. It's not so much. It's like, well, the people want them to get the title, but once they have it, they have to do something with it. And I understand that, but it's also falls on the rest of the roster to build somebody up that could potentially take her down and then run with that. The problem with Asuka being champion, then, I mean, she's a short-term champ. Her English is not good enough for her to be long-term, in my mind.
The thing is, I love what they're doing with Asuka right now. Just like, the heel turn and having her come out and she's speaking Japanese. We have no idea what she's saying. It kind of goes with the heel character because we legit have no idea what the fuck she's saying. So it makes us angry at her.
Right.
But I feel like if they want to put the title on her, then they need to bring somebody in that speaks English and can translate. Like now even if it's fucking Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't care. He speaks a little bit of English. Bring him in.
See, I like what they're doing with her in terms of her being part of a tag team because they're adamant about keeping the women's tag team division together. So I'm okay with this. I will say, and they keep her relevant on the singles side because she still wrestles as a singles wrestler every now and then, and she's still in the title picture. Yet she's not ever really going to be a winner. And if she does win, then it's literally, in my mind, she should hold the title for a layover, a quick 3 months, and it moves on to somebody else. Shayna Baszler is who I think they're poising to come up. But I have so many worries about that because Shayna Baszler, she's good on the mic, but she's the same type of... WWE's in love with this, like, badass woman character, and there's a bit too many of them now because Becky Lynch is doing it, Rhea Ripley's doing it, Shayna Baszler's doing it, and Shayna Baszler, for me, out of the three, she's the worst to watch in ring.
Shayna Baszler's just boring for me.
Shayna Baszler is god awful fucking boring.
Yeah, like her matches are just always super boring.
She is a good wrestler, but she is just boring. She is Ric Flair 2000s title holder boring.
Yeah,
Well, and
without the charisma of Ric Flair.
Yes.
Well, and if you
Yes.
think about it, Basement, you said that she's good on the mic, but is she really? Because all she ever, like, basically her promos are basically the same recycled promos over and over again.
Yeah, she's okay. So when I say she's good on the mic, she can handle the mic. She's like, okay, so this is the problem, I guess, with what you see in NXT. I would have said years ago Sasha Banks was good on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But look what happened to her on the main roster. They get her out of her comfort zone, and she sounds like a fucking porno actress.
Yep. She does. So yeah, Bobbit, Trek.
I think it's not just that Becky's character's gotten stale. It's like it seemed as soon as Ronda Rousey disappeared, they went some of the momentum because it was always her, Charlotte, and Becky. Her, Charlotte, Becky. Her, Charlotte, Becky. Batman doesn't have his Joker. It gets boring real fast. And
Well,
she's Batman. She does have the Joker, so it gets boring real fast. Because unless Ronda comes back, which they've been dropping hints at, but they haven't brought her back yet. I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. It's just Becky, 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 Becky. Nobody can beat her. You have to have someone who can pose a serious threat, and that was Ronda Rousey, and she's gone. Who gives a shit?
But you know what, though?
Batman doesn't have the Joker. We get it.
But you know what, though? Like, Ronda Rousey, yes, she was great, but the whole women's division does not revolve around Ronda Rousey. Like Basement was saying, build one of your women up that is there. You don't need Ronda Rousey to come back right now. Build somebody up that is already there to take the title off of her. It does not have to be Ronda.
You
had
look at it.
With Lacey up.
Yeah.
You know what? You look at it. The men's roster suffers from the exact same thing. The difference is Ronda Rousey's still there on the men's roster, and that's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar leaves. They don't have a credible champion. This is why they all fail. Why does Brock Lesnar succeed while the rest of them have failed? That's what they need to be looking at instead of being like, well, it's because it's Brock Lesnar. No, it's because Brock Lesnar was built properly, built to be an unstoppable force. And even when he lost, he still had credibility in the ring. And you don't have that in anybody else.
And not only that, but Brock Lesnar comes from a time when the wrestlers actually, they were more loosely handled with as far as creative when Brock first came in. So he was forced to be able to handle himself on the mic. He was forced to be able to handle himself in the ring. You don't see that with a lot of these wrestlers these days, especially on the mic, because a lot of their stuff is scripted.
But I mean, Brock Lesnar is a complete product of booking. They have booked Brock Lesnar for the most part excellently, and they booked Ronda Rousey really good. And I'd say Ronda Rousey just being on the roster, whether she needs to be Brock Lesnar-esque, where she disappears for fucking 4 months at a time and whatever. But they're always going to have that problem that everybody else is booked 50-50. Everybody else is a loser as much as they're a winner, and in the end, they don't have the character to mean anything because their characters. They're not strong or weak. They're just there.
Yeah.
And when they're strong and they can't handle the mic, like Roman Reigns, booked to be a fucking god from fucking Neptune, it's too much for the guy that can't handle it. And the people that can speak don't get what they need. You need someone emotional that can fucking carry a promo that means something. Daniel Bryan is that one of those guys, and he's one of the shining points for me on the roster because people care about what he says.
And
same
with Kevin Owens.
And Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens is unfortunately like I've seen a degradation in him as well because of the bullshit storylines they keep running him out in. The whole Shane McMahon thing, and now he's there carrying the weight for Seth Rollins and a faction that he's made, and it's just like at some point in time you need to pull the trigger and say, this guy we need to propel, and we need to let him go the way he needs to be let go.
Yep. Well, I think Drew McIntyre could be that guy too.
I agree.
I see that. Yep.
Go ahead, Trek.
That's what I was just going to say. It because if the reports are true, they weren't originally going to have him win the Royal Rumble. This could be Roman Reigns again, and the crowd will shit all over it. So I'm glad that they kind of came to their senses and gave it to Drew because it seems like they're pulling the trigger with Drew McIntyre saying, let's see what this guy could do.
But you know what? They didn't need him to win the Rumble.
They didn't need They didn't need Drew McIntyre to win the Royal Rumble. When he eliminated Brock Lesnar, he solidified himself to the main event of WrestleMania.
Right.
Or at least one of them.
Or at least one of them. You could have very easily, and it didn't have to be Roman Reigns, but it looked like it was going to be, should have won the Royal Rumble. It should not have been Drew McIntyre.
Well, the thing with McIntyre is he's just like Brock. When he was first in the WWE, it was in an era where they were forced to kind of be able to handle themselves in the ring, like both inside and outside the ring. They were forced to be able to talk on the mic, forced to be able to, do the thing in the ring. Because a lot of the people that are newer to WWE, they think that this is Drew McIntyre's first stint in the company. It's not. Like, what year was he in WWE? Early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Yeah. And he didn't look the same. He was young and clean shaven.
Yeah.
And didn't look like a more grizzled vet. Couldn't cut it on the mic as much as he can now. Couldn't cut it in the ring as much as he can now. I have a question for you guys. What would you... Okay, say you take the Royal Rumble, and we all know how the outcome went. What if you replaced what Brock did, but you put The Fiend in that place? The only reason I say this is because... through canon of WWE, the winner of the Rumble goes on to face the champion of their choosing in the main event of WrestleMania. And I still think the main event of WrestleMania should be Brock versus Drew McIntyre. But you put The Fiend in there, you have him eliminate 15 people, then you have someone eliminate The Fiend, and that becomes the secondary title. And you still have McIntyre win the Rumble.
I don't know.
I would have... Say it again.
It's basically replacing Brock Lesnar's whole thing in the Rumble with The Fiend. Having him do what Lesnar did, and having McIntyre then win the Rumble and face Brock Lesnar.
Okay, then that would have made more sense.
But you do lose out on the fact that McIntyre eliminated Lesnar, so the heat of that match would be a bit less. And it would only really work if they had built McIntyre up beforehand, and they just... It's like, okay, now he's an all-star. Push the button.
Yep.
Which, I can buy into the fact that, like, that may not have originally been the plan, because when Drew got backstage, I don't know if you guys, like, watched the backstage stuff afterwards, but when he got backstage, in that interview backstage, like, he looked not only legitimately happy, but he looked surprised.
No, it's like Vince McMahon to fucking change things like during the match or right before the fucking...
He has done
You're going to learn 2 hours beforehand you're going to be challenging for the main championship at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah, he looked... of course he's going to be happy winning the Rumble either way around, but he looked like... You can tell the difference between, like, somebody who's just happy and someone who's, like, genuinely happy because they're kind of shocked.
Right. I will say, too, with McIntyre, there's a great story to tell with him if they do it properly about, trying to get into the business, being rejected constantly. Like, there's a good face storyline to tell with that guy if they want to, with what they have in the past and where he went and what he became to come back to be what he is.
Right.
They can build it really well.
I agree. So moving on, speaking of Bray Wyatt, Goldberg challenged Bray Wyatt at Super Showdown.
Wasn't it the other way around? Didn't Bray Wyatt?
No, he accepted.
Goldberg did.
Goldberg challenged him.
Gotcha.
He was in his garage, wherever the fuck he lives.
Yep.
On the Bowflex, accepting the challenge.
Oh, God. And he did do this, so I thought he headbutted the Bowflex, but...
A lot of people like that spot. I think there was something lost with him not being there in the arena. It's Super Showdown, so at the end of the fucking day, I don't care. If it was WrestleMania, he definitely needed to be at the arena.
Okay, so here's my question: this motherfucker could barely pick up the Undertaker last year at Super Showdown. How do you expect him to pick up Bray, who I believe? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe weighs more than The Undertaker.
No.
It's going to be one of the funniest fucking matches. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be... He's going to hit him with a spear, another spear, a jackhammer, which he'll probably fucking fuck up, and then he'll kick out, and then Goldberg will die.
And my other question is, like... I'm really surprised Or
She
let
wants
me
to grab
rephrase that.
everything.
Are you guys surprised that they actually want the Fiend character in Saudi Arabia?
Wasn't he there last time?
Yeah,
He was there
He
time
was
for
there
Seth
against
Rollins. That's where he
Rollins.
won the belt.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, I wasn't too surprised that they're going to have him there. Originally, I was surprised when he showed up there the first time, but I think they don't really give a shit too much about, like, the horror
Well,
aspect of things.
I was just like wondering because I know like certain
No.
places don't like the kind of demonic type characters.
He was there last time, so it's
I completely forgot he was there last time.
Yeah, I
Shows how
mean,
much I
we
gave
had-
a shit about the
I'm pretty
last
sure
time.
we
I
had.
forgot
I'm
he
pretty
was
sure
there.
we had the
in
same
fact,
conversation
that
last
was
time.
that was the first time we seen the fucking red light.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we had the
yeah.
same conversation last time. I'm like, we all were like, I'm surprised they let him there, but whatever.
Right, that's right.
I mean, this match is going to be fucking garbage anyway.
Well,
So
it shocks me because they let Bray Wyatt in, but yet they don't want Aleister Black there because he has
it's
a
the
lady
meaning
demon
of it.
tattoo.
It's the meaning of it. The Fiend has no meaning behind it.
There's
That's
no
true.
religious tattoos.
There's no. It's not religious. It's not a religion thing.
That makes sense.
In the end, the Fiend's going to win, guys. Can we all agree?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope not. I hope not. I would
If Goldberg
laugh.
wins, I'm going to
fucking
fucking cheer because I can't wait for Goldberg Undertaker at WrestleMania again.
Oh God, no.
It'll probably be Roman Reigns versus Goldberg then.
It could be.
Spear off.
The spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, Goldberg challenged Bray. Bray will probably end up winning. I don't care. The Fiend
Yeah,
can fuck
I think
off.
most. I mean,
I'm
it's
sick-
it's a talking point, but it's Super Showdown. Like honestly, I've come to the point with these shows. I'll watch them because I have the network. Other than that, it's fuck it. It's garbage.
Probably, and moving on, probably the one thing wise that was really good was Velveteen Dream returning.
Yep.
We all knew.
Yep.
We seen the 3 circles, the 2-5-20. Everybody knew who it was, so it really wasn't a surprise who it was going to be. I don't think that Ciampa is winning the title. I think Velveteen Dream will at WrestleMania.
I disagree.
I actually, I agree with Gina. I think Ciampa is gonna actually because I think this pay-per-view at Portland is gonna be the falling of fucking Undisputed Era
Not only
because they're
that,
losing
but
the tag belts for sure in my mind.
yeah, not only that, but I believe that this is going to be because Ciampa never lost that title. He had to forfeit it when he got hurt. So
here's the
like,
thing.
I
Here's
think
the
this is going to be his redemption.
And I understand that, but here's the thing: why would they put Velveteen Dream in that position? What title does he? What title does Undisputed Era? What title does Undisputed Era have? That Velveteen Dream, that North American title is on Keith Lee. He's not
Right,
going after. He's not going after Roderick Strong. Let me finish. He's not going after Roderick Strong. I think he's going after Adam Cole.
Well, that's in my opinion, yeah, that's obvious. But there's a reason he's attacking them because forgive me if I'm wrong, but storyline wise,
yes.
they put him on the shelf.
Yes.
I can foresee a triple threat come WrestleMania time where he's one of the competitors. And Adam Cole is one, and Ciampa is one, or they do something along those lines.
There also was rumor that Adam Cole was somehow injured as well, so this could be a way of taking Adam Cole out for his injury and then putting Ciampa in, and then it being Ciampa versus Velveteen at WrestleMania.
So Adam Cole had like a cut, but he's okay. Ciampa sprained his ankle or something, but he seemed okay enough to wrestle. So I don't think any of those reported injuries are like long term in any way. But okay, back to the Velveteen Dream spot. I actually really liked NXT from start to finish. I thought it was the best show of the week for sure. I love the fact that they put flashes of the Velveteen thing throughout just to remind people. It was a neat way of doing something. I'm glad he's back because he adds that little bit of like silly or comedy that they need at times. And this NXT for me did a great job of balancing the wrestling, which has always been there, with the little bit of entertainment side that they had lost in the last month or two. Like they were all wrestling for the last month. Now they're back to like 80-20, and that's like for me, that's the perfect ratio of things.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second.
No problem. I would say, yeah. I mean, I do think that Undisputed Era, it's their time to fall apart. WWE and NXT, they prolong things longer than I ever would predict. So I can see it happening at WrestleMania weekend. But is there a WrestleMania weekend takeover bigger than this one?
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, of course, it's going to have a little bit more fandom because it's WrestleMania weekend, but
their actual WrestleMania is SummerSlam weekend. To be honest with you,
so I can see Portland, the Undisputed Era, dropping everything.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Either way around, whether Ciampa wins now or not, Ciampa is going to be in that match come the WrestleMania takeover. I mean, whether it's a triple threat or whatever, because otherwise, what are they going to do with him? He just came back, and Triple H loves this fucking guy, so you know he's not going to be sidelined.
Mm-hmm. No,
he never lost the title, so he's got the best claim.
Right.
I'm not saying he's not going to be in there. I just don't think he's going to win it.
Now, what I think might happen at Portland is I think that Undisputed Era is going to come out and they're going to try to help Adam Cole through some tomfuckery, and I think Velveteen Dream's going to come out and he's going to not only take them out, but he's going to fuck over Adam Cole and cause him to lose the title.
That could be.
I mean, no matter what, in my opinion, I think Adam Cole versus Ciampa will. There's going to be some sort of fuckery that ends that match because it's weird to me that the next takeover is WrestleMania time. Mm-hmm. They usually take a bit more time in between. Am I right? Like they're usually every 3 months or 3.5, 4 months.
They only have 5 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah, so this is like the closest booked pay-per-views for them.
Right.
So this might be a stepping stone to that one. Either way, NXT was a great show. We predicted it was Velveteen Dream, but hey, just because we predicted it doesn't mean it's bad.
No. Yep.
Actually, it was great. I mean, I was so happy to see him back, man. I don't know anybody that was bitching that he was back.
Yeah, it's such a good. He's such a good and needed part of that show because of the levity he brings.
Yeah.
And I just real quick, I just want to add Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne are fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
they have the fucking bromobile. They drove 4 feet Matt and
Riddle,
stopped.
What did they call it? Did they call it the bromobile?
The bromobile.
Or was it the Broserweight mobile?
Oh, yeah, No, I think it was the Broserweight mobile or Bromobile or something. But fucking Kyle O'Reilly killed me with his listen here, Matthew Riddle and Pete Dunne.
Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly is really good on the mic.
He's just great in general, man. I fucking love that guy.
Love that guy.
So yeah, I mean, the NXT, they're never gonna win this fucking ratings war because they don't need to. They don't need to. They have the network. They end up on the network the next day, and that's when everybody watches it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm a bigger fan of just watch the 2 shows because if you're a wrestling fan, you will, and decide which one you liked better, and then go with that. Ratings don't mean shit, man. The fucking Kardashians, Living with the Kardashians or something, blowing everything out of the water.
Yes.
So is that a better show than every show you've ever watched?
The fucking Lego Masters had 5 million people watching.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
So the ratings aren't really a talking point, but when it comes down to it, this was a great show. And the I'm telling you, man, that Bromobile, they showed up and they're like cheering to the fans. They literally drove 4 feet and stopped.
I like the dynamic between those two.
Great.
I like the dynamic.
And then he turned it to the fucking side, and I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be like that scene in Austin Powers where they get it stuck.
Fucking Matt Riddle gets in the ring, and at one point in time, is like, "We're gonna." Pete Dunne's like, "We're gonna smoke the competition." As soon as he says "smoke," Matt Riddle does his fucking look to the camera.
It's a thing now.
They're so good together.
Oh,
man.
when they did that,
Matt Riddle's
how much
incredible.
How much fish can Bobby Fish fry if Bobby
Fish
could
fry fish? And that was great. And then Pete Dunne said it, and then Matt Riddle said it's a thing now because
It's
he
a
said
thing
it.
now.
So yeah, them two are great. I love the
I mean, of
dynamic
all the
between
people
those
that are
two.
out there, all the tag teams, I know there are two singles talents thrown together, but they won the fucking Dusty Classic. Keep them together for a bit. Let them have a title run before they turn on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you think about it, they're both such huge talents, and they don't really have anything else to do with them right now because they can't, at this time, they can't have them going towards the main titles. So this is the best thing to do with them.
Telling you right now, Matt Riddle, when he becomes champion, he is a special talent because it's very difficult to be that good of a face
Yes,
and that good in the ring, and he just fucking crushes everything.
he does. He does. I fucking love Matt Riddle. I think he is one of the hotter things going besides Keith Lee right now.
I like him more than Keith Lee because I see more longevity in Matthew Riddle.
Yeah, I do too.
Matthew Riddle.
More charisma in him too.
Yep. Yep, I totally agree. Bobbit, Trek, I know you guys did. We didn't show together, but what did you? Oh no, actually we did. We streamed it. What did you guys think?
Well, since Trek's dead, I really loved everything that happened on NXT Wednesday. Dude, the fucking Matt Riddle part absolutely destroyed me, and I really like the Finn Balor promo thing that they did. I thought that was pretty good too.
That was great.
That was
Yes,
pretty
Bob.
good. That was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Thank
Okay,
you
I'm
for
gonna
bringing
say
that
this
up.
right
I
now. At the
love
end
that
of that,
segment.
at the end of that, when fucking Finn Balor says what he says, and fucking Johnny Gargano's gone, it killed me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know what I loved about that segment? The fact that the way that Johnny Gargano has become so much better on the mic, and whether it's a promo or not, he used to be such fucking stale toast. And this guy can now cut a promo properly. And then he went back and said, I want this Finn Balor, not the Finn Balor that lost to Bobby Lashley 17 times on Raw and SmackDown or whatever.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Like, fucking good shit.
That was
And
good
that's a
shit.
match I'm really looking forward to because that's going to be potentially match of the night between those two.
Right. Okay, so we're in consensus. AEW. NXT was the show of the week. It's been the show of the week for the last 2 months for me.
Absolutely.
Um, something non-football related, something non-wrestling related, but related to WWE is the XFL debut today. They had their first set of games today. I'm actually impressed. I'm gonna sort of talk about it again on Tuesday, on my show on my channel. It's football, people. It's a faster pace. All it is, the only difference between this and the NFL is that it is faster paced. The game moves along so much quicker. But I don't mind if football is 4 hours long. I can sit and watch football all fucking day. So for me, football is football is football. But it's all it is a faster paced game, and it's not all about the offense. There's some pretty good defensive plays today that I seen. I enjoyed it. It's a win for me because again, I was skeptical because I was one of those people that watched the XFL when it came out. I was excited to have an alternative to the NFL, but it was pretty good. The talent is a step below the NFL, but there are some guys out there that could probably and did play in the NFL that could probably get a job back in the NFL somewhere. They 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 have a I like what they have done with if I don't know if any of you have watched it. I know Bob had watched it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's football. It's what football should be to me, and it's
The
not
only
that
thing I
much
have to
different. It's no different than football. Go ahead.
the only thing I have to say about the XFL, I'm in Canada here, and the coverage and the promotion for the XFL here is non-existent.
Right.
And I think they missed the mark a little bit because the big cities here, like you go to you look at like Toronto and the populace around it, or even Vancouver, any of those like bigger cities that or bigger population points in Canada
Mm-hmm.
would watch it, but they didn't promote to us at all.
Okay. Okay.
Like I didn't
So
even know it was happening until you
I
guys
think
reminded
I
me.
think this is a test run. I mean, yes, it's the first season. You have to start somewhere. I think they will expand and they will get bigger if this takes off. If they continue to do and don't fucking tweak your shit. What they have right now is pretty solid. Yeah, you can tweak a few things here and there, but what they have is pretty solid. And I think if they would have came out and did this when the XFL first started, I think the XFL would still be around today.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the XFL when it first started was still in the realm of like more gimmicky. I mean, it was when wrestling people related a lot to the wrestling product. Now that the wrestling product's kind of taken backseat to a lot of other entertainment things, it can be more standalone, and people didn't expect it to be
Right.
wrestling related or have the wrestling fucking the entertainment type that wrestling deals with in XFL.
Yes. I I'm just saying I think they would have if they would have done what they are doing now with it, it probably would still be around today.
If it was promoted as wrestling, or sorry, if it was promoted as football during the off season of football, that's
Yes.
what people wanted. People are yelling for it because people love football, and it's only taking up a small portion or a certain portion of the year. But yeah, like I mean, I didn't even see XFL any promotions on the network and anything. You think they'd at least do that?
Yep. Yep.
They own
And
the fucking network and they have their own commercials running on there nonstop. So why not put a 10-second spot for the XFL? And just be like, XFL, it's coming, and the date, and that's it.
yeah, I mean, like I said, this is one of those test run things, so they might.
You just think they want to capitalize on
I
like the
think well, we'll
greatest
see how
amount of
we'll see
people, right?
what the ratings were for it. Um, it was pretty good. It's football. It is essentially it's just football. It's a little faster paced. The kickoff is a little weird, but you get the gist of it. I like it. I no touchbacks. There's no such thing.
I mean, when it comes to Vince McMahon in business, you can't fuck with this guy. He knows what he's doing. Every business fails at times, but if he's willing to go after it again and invest that much money, he knows there's a marketplace for it, and whether it takes off is up to the fans.
Yes, and the thing is they actually they must have surveyed people because what the people wanted is what they are giving them. A faster pace, enough with the extra points because extra points are fucking boring. Everybody makes an extra point. Um, the 1, 2, and 3 point conversions. I like the concept of what they're doing. So
That to me, when I read the rules, was the standout. That was the standout difference between NFL and
but there
XFL.
is no extra points. There are still field goals, but there are no extra points. And I don't mind that. Bobbit, I know you watched the game today. What did you think?
I like it. I really, 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 really like it. Like, I watched the original XFL, and
Yeah.
I like the NFL. I can see me getting behind this for years to come. I really enjoy this. I'm like JP. I'm a huge football fan.
All American football or whatever it was.
I was the
That
only
was
one who watched it.
yeah. The reason that failed is they didn't hit the mark with what people wanted to see. The NFL, people are gonna watch the NFL because with the AAF there were no kick returns. They got the ball on the 20-yard line. That was it. The excitement of the game, it took the foot out of the football. There's no kicking. It was stupid. It was a waste of fucking time.
And
That's the problem with that's why the AAF failed. Well, part of the reason why.
Orlando Apollo forever.
the more I think about it, it's a huge missed opportunity not catering to Canadian audiences. For one thing, a lot of Canadians still like football. We have CFL. It's different rules than the NFL, so we're already used to rules that are different. Second of all, a lot of the people that watch the NFL are adhering to teams that they don't. They're like, oh, my favorite team is the Denver Broncos. Why? They're just my favorite team. It's not that there's no home team thing here in Canada, so we're already used to cheering for teams that aren't our home team. I just it's so odd to me that there's zero marketing here.
Right. Yeah, I think they'll get a. I think they will get a team. They'll get two or three or four teams. They'll expand the league, and Canada will get some.
I mean, even if they don't get teams, it's just that the absence of marketing is just mind-boggling to me. But whatever.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I'm not. I understand. I can feel your pain. It's an American sport, and yeah, I think that's where they're thinking. You know what I mean? But I get it. We're almost done, actually. NWA Power. The only thing that happened on that show is Thunder Rosa retained her title against Allison Kay. Again, I have to get back into that. I have not had a chance to get back into it yet. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about NWA right now. I am looking forward to getting back into it because it's getting better. Let's move on to New Japan. I know the
did you want to talk about Cody?
New Beginning is going on right now. Yes.
Okay, yes. So we're just gonna skip AEW. Okay. Yeah.
New Beginning. Wait, what?
I thought you wanted to talk about the Cody thing on AEW.
We'll talk about that last.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I want to shit all over that crap. But go ahead.
Yes, New Beginning has been going on for the past few days. I talked, I believe last week, on Sunday night, I talked about the Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay match, and Zack Sabre Jr. retained. Now they are having a rematch at Rev Pro on Valentine's Day. For the British Heavyweight Championship. Shingo actually gained the Never Openweight Championship during these last few days. And tonight they have the actual New Beginning in Osaka, where we're going to see the Junior Heavyweight Tag Champions, Sho and Yo, face El Desperado and Kanemaru.
Okay.
We also have the Junior Heavyweight Championship, again, Hiromu Takahashi versus Ryu Lee. The United States Championship, Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki, happens tonight.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Or today, wherever you are. It's happening in literally less than an hour. And then the last one is the Double Champion.
We talked about this before we got on the stream. I've seen people saying it's time for Naito to lose the title. If Naito loses that title, hold on. If Naito loses that title, that story that they built for 2 years with him, they'll kill it. They'll kill him.
Who's he facing?
Kenta.
He's facing Kenta, and you know what? Surprisingly, no, but hear me out. Surprisingly, him and Kenta have actually their rivalry started, as we know, at Wrestle Kingdom. But the rivalry, they really first just started getting into that rivalry when the New Beginning started about a week or so ago, and I think personally that it's too soon to break the storyline that is going on between these two, because if you watch these past shows from the past week, the dynamic going on between these two is just it's incredible. I mean, you know how sarcastic Naito is, kind of like that
Yes.
nonchalant, tranquilo type
Yep.
vibe. Kenta has almost the exact same vibe about him, and he just loves fucking with Naito, and Naito fucks with him right back. So it's just such an interesting storyline. So I really hope that this actually continues past tonight. Seldom do I ever say that, but I hope it continues.
I don't want to see Naito be a layover champion. Like, in all honesty,
neither do I.
He needs to retain. However they do it, they do it. But I agree with you that storyline shouldn't end there.
Yeah, I think that personally, if Kenta would win, I think it's pulling it off of Naito too quickly. What I would do if I mean, and this doesn't fucking matter because they're not going to listen to me anyway. But what I would do is I would have Naito retain, but keep that storyline going and have another match later on in the year, at Dominion or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I want to see Suzuki Gun whip the fucking living dick off of Dean Ambrose.
Minoru Suzuki should beat Jon Moxley.
He should, but I don't think he's going to.
He should. Jon Moxley's going to be we'll get into that. I think he will
lose because I think he's going. I think he might
be
actually win the AEW champion, and then his showcase in New Japan will come to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else on New Japan? I might actually watch that tomorrow because I actually want to see the Moxley versus.
Honestly, I'm gonna say definitely go back and watch February 2nd, New Beginning in Sapporo, or however you say it.
Okay.
Because that was the Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay match. And I know you guys don't like Zack Sabre Jr., but that match is fucking incredible.
Well, it's Will Ospreay, and he's
it was
genius.
So fucking good. And they went back and forth for a good 15, 20 minutes or so, maybe even more than that. I don't know, but it's a really good match. So I recommend that to anybody. Tonight's is going to be really good, but if you have time, watch from like February 2nd all the way up through tonight because it's all been good. I'm not going to lie. It's all consistently been good, and that's what I love about New Japan. As you guys know, New Japan is very consistent, and it's just consistently good wrestling.
And I mean, I'm not a fan of Zack Sabre Jr., but a Will Ospreay match, I'll watch. Regardless of really who he's fighting. The guy is always a top tier. It's like a Kota Ibushi.
I'm telling you right now, that match is fucking fantastic. You could hate Zack Sabre Jr. and want him to die tomorrow and start on fire. Does not matter. That match is great.
Nope, I'd still fucking want to on fire. In fact, I probably want him to catch on fire during that match. But anyway, I digress. There is one thing that I do want to talk about that is, and just I digress, kind of popped it in my head. I don't know if you all have been paying attention on Twitter to the feud that's been going on between Jim Cornette and Dave Meltzer. But apparently Dave Meltzer is making enemies more than he's making friends. Just like Jim Cornette has been making enemies more than he's been making friends.
Well, I'm not surprised by either of those statements. They should fight and both people die at the end of the match.
I actually like Jim Cornette because he's, in a sense, he is right. He is not wrong. In what
I don't know what the argument even is.
Okay, so he was talking about who was a better match, Kenny Omega versus Okada, or Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat? And if you've never seen that match, before you pass judgment, you need to watch Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat before you pass judgment. I've seen both. I still think Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's better.
See, I haven't seen that match.
So Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at Cow Palace.
Right, but what are you comparing it to?
Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada.
Oh, yeah. No, Kenny Omega versus Okada.
No. Do it.
I don't know. I haven't seen one
You
of
have
them.
to compare.
So.
You have to watch the match in the Cow Palace and compare it to that match. You
I
can't.
mean,
You
I've
can't.
seen that Cow Palace match, but I mean, then again,
Cow
you know me, I
Palace.
There's
What a
wasn't.
name.
two. Really, you can compare, but you can't really compare because they're two different eras.
Yeah, and I was just gonna touch
But
on that. I mean, you
but
know that I wasn't watching wrestling
Jim
really back at
Cornette
that time.
Jim Cornette was correct in this assumption. Kenny Omega has made some pretty stupid moves in who he did wrestle a kid. He he's done some stupid shit. Kenny Omega has done some pretty stupid shit to get a pop. And
I
that's why
will
Jim
say, I
Cornette
mean,
hates him.
fucking Ric Flair wrestled his coat. In the end, I will say, like, I actually liked the Kota Ibushi Okada match.
Dakota,
Cunt more than
me too.
Kenny Omega and Okada. But like, it's that close. Those two matches are so good, both of them. And because I watch New Japan in a bubble, like I watch it just when they have pay per view, I'll watch it, and I watch certain matches or more for certain matches. I don't know the storylines as much, or if there is, I don't know them as much. And I know Kenny Omega and Okada had a great feud, and all their matches were great. Really, they were all great. I liked the second one more than any of them, but that's to each their own. But what's fresher in my memory is the Kota Ibushi and Okada match, and that was just
What made that
unbelievable.
What made that match so great was you could see that look in Coda's face that entire time, where it was just like empty.
Mm-hmm.
He was just empty, so you didn't know what he was going to do because it just seemed like he was gonna fucking lose his mind at any given time.
He tells a better in-ring story than Kenny Omega can, because Omega, like, the storyline is there, and in ring you can see it, but the switch that got turned in Kota was never part of the Kenny Omega match. That was just two people beating the living fuck out of each other. But then you saw two people beating the living fuck out of each other, where one person had to kind of like take a second and be like, you know what, I guess I'm fucking going there, even though I'm not that type of guy. I'm going there.
Right.
I mean, a lot of us watched the Ibushi and Okada match together, and how many times were we saying, "Oh my god, I think he died.
Paralyzed.
Like, I think he's dead."
That is
like
the
half
only
the
match.
moves were
That
paralyzed.
is my favorite match of all time. It's the only match I've ever given 5 stars to.
Yeah, like holy shit, he's dead. Oh wait, no, he's not.
Well, the Jado fucking shit was.
Oh my god, that was
the
nice
next
too.
one. That was the next
That was the
one.
Bushi versus Jay White.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to the point. If you're saying his point is basically Kenny Omega has done some foolish shit. I mean, Ric Flair has done a lot of fucking foolish shit.
The thing is Dave Meltzer's argument is about wrestling. Apparently, Dave Meltzer thinks that wrestling, because of arena sells out. And the way I read it, because the arena sells out, it's better.
No,
which makes no sense. And that's where
that's
I
a booking conversation more than it is a match conversation.
Yes, that's my point. Back in the 1980s is when I think that match happened. Steamboat Flair. The match lasted 1 hour, and them two beat the hell out of each other, Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, much like Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada did. So the parallels between them two matches are kind of the same. So really, it's hard to depict which one is better. I would probably put them on the same plane, and say that one is not better than the other.
You know what? This is the same argument that happens all the time in sports. Mm-hmm. Forever, people. Oh, LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Who's the best basketball player?
Okay,
you can't. You can't compare. There's a comparison, but you can't come to a definitive solution because the game has changed.
Well, not only that, they played two different positions.
They did, but even more so than that, the game has changed. The game has changed to favor different positions and to promote people to be different roles in a different position. And the same thing works with wrestling. I mean, anybody that has watched wrestling, that started watching wrestling 15 years ago, will go with the Okada match.
Yeah. So I mean, both of them have. Meltzer, I think he just has a hard on for Japanese stuff.
I mean, rightfully so to a point, but
I mean, I like the Japanese stuff too, but I mean, you're really talking about a match that great fucking storytelling in it.
see, I can't talk on it because I haven't seen it.
You have to go watch it. The storytelling, because Ric Flair could tell. He didn't do such a good job in fucking Uncensored 1996, but he did. He was really good. He was he was really good at telling a story inside the ring. You've seen Starrcade 1983.
I've seen a bunch of Ric Flair.
How much the story that they were telling inside the ring was so good. And that was all Ric Flair
is great at what he did. He in my mind, he was the best wrestler of the era he came out of, and even the era after that. And it wasn't because of his wrestling. It was because of his character and how he worked in the ring. He was Eddie Guerrero before Eddie Guerrero was Eddie Guerrero. He did all of Eddie Guerrero's, all of the things people remember him for. Ric Flair did it.
Yep.
I will say this before we move on. I kind of can't blame Meltzer for having a hard-on for Japanese wrestling because I have Ladywood for it.
Well,
yeah, I agree.
But his hard-on is because he got called out on his fucking bullshit, and now he's trying to get back in the good graces. So his hard-on, and yes, Dave Meltzer, I'm talking about you, you old fucking faggot. You don't know shit. You can't even fucking rate a match right. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, his rating system makes no sense.
So
I mean, I'm just saying Ladywood for Japanese wrestling.
In the end, it's an impossible comparison because wrestling has changed since then. There's more of it, more televised, more accessibility. What could be a good match is now an okay match because you see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the matches people put on today's day and age, even in Raw and SmackDown, would have been considered above board back then. Yep. But there's something that always holds true throughout all of wrestling.
Agreed.
When you tell a story in the ring, you cannot deny a good match for doing that. That's bottom line. And I will say both. I mean, I don't know the other one, but Kenny Omega and Okada told a good story in the ring. I still think Kota and Okada told it better.
I mean, I just think that they do a really good job over there in general of telling the story.
God damn right they do. That's where they tell their stories. That's why they're so goddamn good at it.
I mean, I have noticed now that they announced that they're going to be breaking in more into the American market. If you watch like the interviews after the matches, they have started doing a lot more like promo work in their interviews instead of just talking about the match that they just had. They're doing a lot more talking about the matches coming up and like doing promo work. I'm hoping that it's going to stay on the interviews after the matches and not get brought into the ring because like I don't get me wrong, it would be nice for them to do promos, don't get me wrong, but for me that's what separates New Japan wrestling from every other kind of wrestling is they do the great job telling it in the ring.
Here's my thing. Back in the 1980s, there wasn't that much. There was really, they were on for an hour, and that was mostly the reporters telling the story, not the wrestlers. Yes, Ric Flair would come out and cut his promo, but the story was told in the ring back in the 80s. And that match, because it wasn't on TV, you didn't get to see it. It was a lot like New Japan is today, where they had to tell the story inside the ring, even though they could speak English, and they could cut the promo before the match started, a lot like they do today. You could understand it. For them, for Japan, New Japan, they kind of have to, if they want to get into the American market, they really have to tell a really good story inside the ring because we can't understand a fucking word that they say.
Well, and that's why for people who aren't already New Japan fans, I always suggest watching the interviews after the matches because they do have subtitles on them. Not right away. I wait like a day or so, and then they put the subtitles on them. Kenta just did a fucking amazing and a hilarious promo. I think Heather even said that, like, where the hell has that promo been this entire time?
Yeah.
Because he cut an amazing promo backstage, and you were able to read it on the bottom of the screen with the subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a little bit different. People are used to hearing English. People are going to be, oh, we'll talk English. Well, guess what? This is a Japanese promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're breaking into an American audience, but give them a chance. Watch the interviews after the match. Watch them like the next day or whatever.
Watch
because
the
I
wrestling.
guarantee you they are going to be taught. They will not only talk about the match they just had, they will do promos or whatever for the next match that they're going into as well.
Yeah.
I also feel like American audiences, I mean, when it comes down to it, people have become more accepting of watching subtitled entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's more proficient or more, there's more of it on Netflix, especially, and that's where people watch a lot of things. And I mean, Hollywood in general has been adapting fucking Korean and Asian cinema for the last fucking 20 years. And it's always better when you watch the original, no matter what it is. So, I mean, I think like it will be tough for them, but it won't be as tough as we have thought it could be.
Yeah, and I will say this, like I have noticed with a couple of their recent like pay-per-views, if you want to call them that, they have had the English version, like the English subtitles right away as soon as they go into the interviews. So I don't know if that's something that they're going to continue doing. I hope they do. They've only been doing it kind of every so often, so I'm not sure if it's just they don't have the right equipment to do it all the time or what. But I have a feeling it's going to be where once they break into that American audience, if they're doing a big show over here, they're going to have the subtitles after it.
Right. My thing.
And they also have Chris Charleston, who like basically stays after the pay-per-view is over and like tells you what they're saying.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
So moving on to something that was tough to watch. Britt Baker. What are they doing with her? Because whatever they're doing with her is failing miserably. Because she's trying to be the top heel in the women's division, and then she fucking loses all the fucking time. Like, she got beat by a roll-up. Even though it was the debut of a superstar, a new, well, she's not new. She's been in AEW before, but Britt Baker sucks.
I mean,
Good
I
God,
feel like
man.
they kind of they threw her out there originally, and they tried to do that with her, and then the negative backlash that they got, they kind of pulled the reins back on what they were doing with her. They're still using her as a heel because everybody hates her.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in this respect, she's kind of reminding me of like the lower card heels that exist on WWE. They're there to get the fans pissed off, and then they're there to give a rub to somebody they want to win.
Yep.
I will say I fucking hated her promo. And not just because I'm supposed to hate it. I hated the fact that all she did was talk about teeth.
Yes.
She went out to the audience members and was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a root canal," and shit like that. It's just too.
Well,
her gimmick has overtaken anything to do with wrestling.
She is, yeah.
Yeah.
her watching her wrestle is a root canal. I've had
I
a
will
root canal.
say. Sorry, JP. Go ahead.
No, I just said I have had a root canal, so I know how it feels. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I enjoyed her promo last week better than I did this week.
Yes.
Like when she cut the promo against JR, that was actually pretty good.
Well, she kind of was a hypocrite because she talks about fucking being a dentist, and then she goes, "Well, JR, all you talk about is me being a dentist." Like, well, what the fuck are you, an idiot? But anyway, go ahead.
Wait, this week the promo was horrible. The in match, yeah, not too
Yeah,
good. But the
I
thing is,
mean,
I liked the way that it ended because it made sense. Because, she goes on about being a dentist and then she knocks this girl's tooth out with a curb stomp. So it made sense because she's, if you listen to the promo, she actually talks about how she's the only person that can fix the superstar's teeth and all this stuff. Like when they have teeth problems and stuff, she's the only person that can fix them. Well, then she goes and she busts the Japanese girl's mouth. Like, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She busts her teeth out, and then what made it even better was after the fact, the next day, that Japanese girl went on Twitter and she said, "It's okay, my tooth is fine. The doctor fixed it."
I mean, I give her like 6 months until she's wearing Kane's mask. She's fucking Isaac Yankem 2.0. I agree with you. Like I to a point. I think she is green as fuck, but she's getting slightly more tolerable in the ring. Slightly, she's still not my cup of tea. I don't think she ever will be. But
Well, I fucking hate her, but
yeah, like I'm with you on that 100%. I think to me, I look at her and I think bad investment, because it seems like they wanted to push her really hard, and they had bigger plans for her, but they're kind of stopping those because she's just not up to snuff in anything she does. She's better on the mic than she is in the ring, and that's not a compliment.
Right. Then we move on to Kenny Omega. They had a tag match. But really, I think that tag match itself built to something else with Kenny Omega. That's what that match was for. So Kenny Omega, or Pac, challenged Kenny Omega, not because Nakazawa got his. Or he tried getting his attention by beating up Nakazawa or whatever the fuck he did to Nakazawa. But then he's got Riho off to the side, and he essentially goaded Kenny Omega into taking a match, which he was going to give him the match. I don't know why Kenny Omega was trying to avoid him in the first place, but I get it. I get why he was doing it, because they needed to give a reason why Pac, whatever.
we needed to
So
give a reason why the match was happening.
yes, so Kenny Omega said, "Fine, you got it, man." And then he responded with, "You actually think I was going to lay a hand on a woman? I'm not. I may be a bastard, but I'm not a beast. She is." Nyla Rose attacks Riho, puts her through a table. The table didn't break because Riho's only 10 pounds soaking wet.
Which I think actually hurt. I actually
Probably hurt more, yeah.
I think that actually hurts the stars more when it doesn't break.
Yes. So Nyla Rose versus Riho is happening next week. My question to you guys: do you think Nyla Rose is taking the title off of Riho?
I actually think so.
I don't.
Well, keep in mind, people have been bitching, pissing, and fucking moaning because Riho's not there. They're like, she's becoming Brock Lesnar.
Who is
Right,
next
but
in line? Who's next in line?
Nobody.
Chris
No, there was
Statlander?
I think Kushida is.
Okay, so whoever's next in line is not a heel. So they're probably going to put it on a heel.
Which Nyla Rose?
mm,
It's going to go.
don't
I just feel like
know, because-
most of their roster is faces that can wrestle.
Revolution, but you got to remember, Revolution's only like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, but who says there hasn't been a women's match announced?
I thought that there was.
They might not even do a women's title match. They might just do like a number one contender match there, I guess, or something. I think Nyla Rose should win because you can't, with the roster they have and the talent they have, and especially the good talent they have on the women's side, or at least passable. Most of them are faces. They have one heel, and the only other heels are involved in fucking the Nightmare Collective, and nobody cares about that.
Well,
so
actually, the Nightmare Collective is dissolving.
It's disbanded, I think, because Awesome Kong can't wrestle anymore.
And not only that, but Brandy Rhodes, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but she's been putting out some actually pretty good their home videos, but their therapy sessions with her therapist. And like in those videos, if you watch it, it's like it gives you kind of it gives you a reason as to why Brandy went crazy and started the Nightmare Collective to begin with. And then she kind of talks about like it disbanding. I think that episode 2 just released a couple of days ago, but they're pretty good to watch actually, because it does give you the backstory of it.
I will give them kudos for pulling the plug when the plug needed to be pulled, because they needed like a major acquisition to make that thing work, and I don't think it was ever going to work anyway. Like it just didn't work with the Dark Order at the same time. Mm-hmm. One of those two had to have the plug pulled, and this is the one that should have. In the end, I think Nyla will win, because she is the person to be, and she should be the person to be.
Mm-hmm.
They have too many faces and they have too many smaller people. She has to be that like fucking giant among women.
Yeah.
I actually have a question. I have a question for you guys.
Wrong.
It's not about the women. It's actually about something else. But who do you guys think is this ringleader for the Dark Order?
I think it. What did I say the other day, Heather?
Fallen Angel.
I think it's Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels would make a lot of sense, but from what I'm hearing now, nothing is set in stone. Of course.
McMahon.
No,
was it my choice? Was it my choice from the beginning? Tell me.
From what I'm hearing, rumor mill is that Lance Archer is pretty much a lock for AEW, as well as Brian Cage is a lock for AEW. Now, my question. And also, Matt Hardy has been like significantly hinting at the fact that AEW not only wants him, but he wants to go there because AEW wants him for his creative abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you guys think if either Lance Archer or Matt Hardy ended up being the ringleader for the Dark Order?
So my thoughts, here's the thing. Like originally I was like Matt Hardy because it's a big name, he can talk. The only thing is people are going to expect broken Matt Hardy. Mm-hmm. And if it's broken Matt Hardy, it doesn't necessarily fit 100% into the gimmick that they've created.
Well, not only that, but I'm a little lenient on Matt Hardy just because even though his contract is expiring soon with WWE, he still has that 90-day no-compete clause.
Well, it's not even if his contract runs out,
then the 90 days. Okay, you guys are right. Sorry,
but the thing is, and I agree with Basement. People, if Matt Hardy shows up, people are going to be like, "Oh, great, the broken gimmick," and then he comes out as the Dark Orders. Yeah, it's going to fail.
The other thing is, the Dark Order needs a dominant in-ring person.
Which would be Archer.
Yeah, is he dominant in ring?
Archer?
He's 6'8", 280 pounds.
And he can beat the living fuck out of everybody. Right? I've seen this guy wrestle multiple times.
I understand that, but I'm talking, if you want the Dark Order to get over, I don't think Lance Archer is the answer. I think that somebody a lot like Matt Hardy would be the answer. Somebody that is huge in the wrestling business. The only way that I think the Dark Order thing works.
See, I mean, if it was me personally, I would kill Evil Uno, just get rid of him because he doesn't like. Okay, so if you're gonna keep him, he's gonna be the third rung on the ladder, and then you're gonna like. I would fucking put them both in it for fuck's sakes.
Here's the thing.
Throw them both in it. Have Lance Archer be the bodyguard of fucking Matt Hardy, who's the ringleader.
You know what I think? I
think it's Christopher Daniels.
I would love.
I like that though. Christopher Daniels is a fucking what would.
But the thing is, Christopher Daniels also has a history. Like he's methodical.
Fallen Angel, man.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah, he's
fallen
like
angel.
45 years old.
But it would make sense because then he would be able to kind of step back from so much in-ring wrestling.
Have you
And-
seen his heel work?
No.
It
Yeah,
is
it's great.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. And not only that, but like
He can go dark.
not
Wait.
only that, but it would make so much sense, okay, even if Lance Archer comes over, put Lance Archer in the Dark Order, like as like the ringleader, like the bodyguard, so to speak, or the big dominant one, protecting Christopher Daniels.
He was in a feud with AJ Styles when he went to the Fallen Angel, which is his like Lucifer. He like essentially became evil, like dark evil, and he
Yeah,
had a
we've
feud.
only
He's good. Trust
yeah,
me.
we've only seen like a dabble of what Christopher Daniels can do, because like ever since he was in like the New Japan with like the Elite, he's been kind of like this really gimmicky, bubbly character, and that's not everything that he's done.
I mean, in all honesty, SCU doesn't need him.
I agree.
No.
But the other thing I was going to say is Lance Archer, he comes to WWE, AEW. He needs to wrestle, and he needs to be
dominant.
Because I don't want to see another bodyguard big guy, because they already have two. But he needs to coerce the other big guys into getting in the ring.
And I
because
think
we have yet to see big guy wrestling.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this is why they were seeking him out so much, because they don't have anybody to go against guys like Wardlow or what the fuck is fucking
stupid face.
Suburban Kid. Yeah, it's this fucking Suburban Kid.
It's fucking MMA.
Jake Hager.
Liquor.
Yeah, we have yet to see Wardlow and Jake Hager be able to wrestle, because it's who the fuck are they going to
But it's good to keep those guys away, because eventually it's going to be a showdown people will want to see.
Well, Wardlow is wrestling next week. 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, yeah, 2 weeks, I think.
He's wrestling Cody.
No,
yes.
it
is
2 weeks.
Steel cage.
Yeah,
Steel cage with Cody.
Sorry.
Which we're getting to that.
I mean, I would say the next 2 weeks of AEW are booked really well. They have got a couple matches coming up that look good, really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready? Because I hated this shit.
I love it.
Oh, one thing before you get there.
Go ahead.
Hangman Page in the back, getting his beer taken away and pulling out a pitcher to drink was
pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. That was probably the only thing that really... I was bored with that. I don't know what it is. It's just I cannot... I'll watch it. I'm entertained. I like the wrestling, but it's just too fucking cheesy for me, man. Way too fucking cheesy for me.
I will say with this AEW, it was a segment drove it more than the rest of the show did. Yeah, I won't say the rest of the show was terrible or anything, but the wrestling was okay. It was run of the mill of what you expect from AEW for the most part. They built a couple storylines a little bit, but it's a bit slower than what we expect from NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, and I'm okay with that, because they kind of like have less of a time to showcase when they get to pay-per-views. But it was definitely built by the last. It was definitely built for the last segment. That's what people are going to remember moving forward.
And now we're going to talk about it. All right, so I'm not going to sit here and shit on it the best that I can, because I don't want to say it was bad. I'm okay with it, but it was too long for me, and it was not as... It didn't get me emotionally invested. It didn't get me emotionally invested in wanting to see the match. I already wanted to see the match. I don't need to get emotionally invested in it. I did not understand. I do understand why they did what they did, but for people to say, and I get why people are saying it, but for people to actually cry?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I had tears.
Why?
Not
Why though?
not during. I'm going to tell you the exact moment when I got tears in my eyes. When Brandy came down, that's when I started tearing up.
Why?
I wasn't crying, but it was.
Why?
I guess when you're as a female, it was hard to look at her face and see the actual tears in her eyes and not feel it. Especially when she grabbed his hand and she kept on saying, "Baby, you got one more." Like it was just a very, very powerful moment for me, and I got tears in my eye. It was very
But the
powerful.
whole thing is he oversold every hit.
But you know what?
We talked about this.
I mean, he got hit pretty fucking hard.
We talked about Bray Wyatt hit Daniel Bryan harder than fucking MJF hit fucking Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but look at Daniel Bryan. He was down for 90% of that match.
Okay.
So he sold it just as much.
So how come we couldn't get emotionally? How come people couldn't get emotionally invested in Daniel Bryan?
Oh, I'm not like I watched that match with Basement, and I was sitting there going, "Holy shit!" What got me emotionally invested was like, it wasn't okay. Yeah, he had all of his friends come down, and all this stuff. It wasn't them. It was Brandy. As soon as Brandy came out, that's when I got really emotionally invested in it, and then from that point, the highlight of that for me was from the moment that Brandy came down all the way until the end of the episode when MJF cheap shots him and runs away like a fucking chicken shit and the entire locker room comes out. All the way up to when the show ended and Frankie Kazarian attacked him up in the stands. And he was like, they were going at it or whatever. That last half was what really got me.
I think the main problem I had with this whole segment, it doesn't fall on Cody Rhodes. It doesn't fall on what they were doing. It falls on MJF.
It does.
And the reason I say that is because take a second and think about what happened on Raw with Randy Orton and Edge.
Mm-hmm.
You see two guys playing the same angle with the same level of seriousness, with the same level of emotion, and that is fucking greatness. The thing is, Cody Rhodes, you said he was overselling. He was selling, but unfortunately, he was selling to a villain that was twirling his mustache in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's the main problem I have with MJF. I think he has huge potential, but he lacks the human side. And when you lack the human side, you just come off as that in the corner. You did this to you. It's and those two dynamics for me is what clashed in this, because I liked the segment. I thought it was a good segment, and I had it was like it looked like overacting because one person was acting a different scene from the other.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, to anybody out there that watched this and felt whatever they felt, that's what they feel. Whatever. All I can say is about what I was watching and how I felt. The segment was built for Cody Rhodes, and MJF had the unfortunate position of being the main antagonist, which he couldn't be. Like, he's bad, but he's comically bad at times.
Yes. Which poses the question that I wanted to ask you guys. Who is the better heel? Now, I know Randy Orton's been in the fucking business.
Randy Orton, 100%.
Randy Orton.
You don't even have to fucking ask the question.
Yep. That is my question. Who is better? Who is the better heel? Randy Orton?
Hands down, Randy
Orton. Or MJF? Well, hold on.
Sorry.
Well, we knew where you were going.
We answered the question.
Okay, no, but what if MJF... Do you think MJF can possibly be the better heel, or do you think he's probably as good as he's going to get?
I think
it's hard to tell right now.
He's really, really young yet. So I think that if he gets the right mentors and who kind of steers him the right way, then he could possibly potentially be as good as Randy Orton. But Randy Orton, man, he just has.
Eh,
There's a certain thing
there's-
in wrestling, and if you got it, you got it, and if you don't, you don't. And Randy Orton fucking has it.
You know why
especially
Randy Orton
heel.
is so good as a heel? It's because he's so good at being a
diabolical.
character in ring. The guy is a masterclass in being
He's-
his character in
He
ring.
is psychology.
see,
He
I
moves
think,
like his character. Sorry, go ahead, Bobbit.
Go ahead, Bobby.
all I'm gonna say is, as he's gonna get with his heel work, I don't see him getting any better.
You don't see MJF getting any better?
No,
Okay.
I you know what? I actually can see that point, and I respect that point. Nothing has shown me that he will in terms of heel tactics. The thing is, MJF is just like the one good thing he does, and this is why I have hope for him, is because he lives his gimmick.
Mhm.
I just
Yes.
wish his gimmick was more nuanced. There's a difference between a bad guy, and there's a difference between a bad guy that you have a reason for not liking.
Yep. Do you think that they're doing this match just a little too quick?
yeah,
No.
The only reason I say, I mean, I can't say. You know what?
What I mean
They could
by
have taken their time and built him as a heel a bit more in other ways, but
okay,
I
that's what
think
I
they
was
were
going to
like
go with.
they were relying on the flip on Cody Rhodes,
Yep.
so
I
they
think
kind of
the
had to go
flip
with
happened
the,
too soon.
Okay, so that's essentially what I'm getting at. So essentially, they're pushing this match because they need to do something with MJF. That's essentially why they're doing this, and I hope it's not too soon. Because the kid's only what, 22, 23, 24 years old?
Something like that.
Good lord. I mean, this kid
I
has
mean,
another
he's
20,
in
25 years in front of him. Go ahead.
my opinion, he's going to lose.
Oh, he's
Yeah, I
going to
think
lose this
MJF's
match.
yeah.
I know he's going to
Um,
lose the match.
Yeah, and
I just think they're pushing it. That the match is happening too soon.
and at some point in time with MJF, I'm hoping that they'll make it to where you see the crack in him, and because if you see a crack in somebody, that's their human side, and because like Basement was saying, with Randy Orton, what makes him so great is he breathes or he doesn't live his character, obviously, kayfabe's dead, but
No, but in the
he is
ring,
his
holy
character in the
fucking
ring.
Christ.
He is that slithery fucking snake that's going to strike you at any given time. MJF is missing that. So, but if they show that crack where they show his humanity and they show a little bit of that weakness, then that may be the driving force to actually get him solidified as a heel.
Now,
Because every heel has a weakness.
That being said, you go back in the past with Randy Orton, and he always had a bit of that.
But if you look back at Randy Orton when he first came in, when they first made him world champion, he was MJF. He was, if you think about it, because he was that cocky, arrogant son of a bitch.
He was, but he had a bit. Like what I'm looking at is the nuance in the ring. And a character is great if you have one, but it has to transition itself in the ring, just not by like you using a steel chair when you shouldn't, or you using a rope when you shouldn't. It's how you work your physical self in the ring and how you portray yourself in the ring. Randy Orton is a very special talent when it comes to this. Like very few people master what he has mastered.
I'm going to say this. The difference for me, yes, when Randy Orton was younger, he had an advantage. Look at who he had next to him.
And not only that, he grew up in a wrestling family.
He had Triple H, he had Ric Flair. Batista was still this, but you look at them two made Randy Orton was made by Triple H and
you can see the Triple H in-ring work he does. Because I remember watching a match with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and it was that match where they were friends turned enemies, and there was remorse on the face of Triple H hitting Shawn Michaels because he knew he could legitimately end his career after coming back from the back problems and shit like that. That is what you see with Randy Orton, that segment with Edge. This feud between MJF and Cody Rhodes is what's missing. That Cody Rhodes is right there. Cody Rhodes has got it. You put Cody Rhodes with fucking Randy Orton, and it's 100% there.
Well,
MJF is still a bit green in that respect. I mean, he's great, but that's what's missing in this segment. And that's what I felt was missing.
MJF's got to take that next step.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it also helps.
Sorry, Chuck. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Gina.
Jesus Christ, she's been talking all night. Go ahead.
I have been talking all night. Thank you, JP, asshole. Go for it.
I think it also helps that the fact that look who Randy Orton's family is too, and look how long they've been doing it for too.
Exactly. I was actually going to touch on that as well.
Go ahead.
Randy Orton he grew up in a wrestling family, so he has that background. And then like Basement said, he was with Triple H and Ric Flair and JP. You mentioned it as well. He had all of these people around him, and MJF doesn't have that luxury. Now I'm hoping, because Cody did like pretty much train under Randy Orton at one point in time. So I'm hoping that he took some of what Randy Orton had and is going to pass that knowledge on to MJF. Now, if MJF receives it or not, that's up in the air. So I guess we'll see.
You also have, with the Rhodes name being there, you also have the one that was the longest running living member of the Rhodes family still there with Cody, and that's his older brother, Dustin.
Dustin, right. And Dustin, I mean, he was so good at, like, when he was Goldust, he was so good at, like, doing that heel character, but he was, like, oh my God, like, Goldust is just special
knows
all
the
in his own.
psychology.
I mean, I can't find a fault with the Rhodes family. I mean, both those guys are fucking aces. Like I said, the fault in MJF, but I also think the fault is kind of found in some of the AEW booking. Though I enjoyed it, it's you look at the two big feuds that are built very similar right now. I know there's nuance to the Cody Rhodes MJF thing, but all of a sudden Cody Rhodes and MJF are enemies, and MJF now is enlisting help of other people. He's creating basically another inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the same dichotomy continues to happen, where now you have Jericho and a bunch of people and MJF and a bunch of people. And though Cody Rhodes has his people, it always seems like he's on the short end of the stick for them helping.
Right.
The thing is, though, like, I've noticed this especially this week with, like, MJF taking that pot shot and then running away. They're kind of making MJF play that heel where it's like he wants to act like a big badass, but then he takes cheap shots and he hides behind other people. He tried to do it with Butcher and Blade and Bunny.
He's playing on the 1980s, 1990s.
Exactly.
You know what he's playing on? The WWE heel, because they're all the same. As soon as you create a heel, you make him be this
here's the difference. The
fucking dick face.
When MJF, when he kicked Cody in the nuts the first time, I'm like, that is something Randy Orton would do. He would stand over that person and just bask in his glory. Like, he just did the greatest thing ever.
But then Randy Orton wouldn't be running away or getting fucking help.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Randy Orton is the perfect heel. He's the heel that everybody wants to, because he doesn't run away from people.
Mm-hmm.
He don't give a fuck.
You look at like the fucking like a comic book universe where it's all about heels and faces. To be honest, I mean everybody is the fucking kingpin all of a sudden. Everybody's all my cronies will work for me. All my fucking little guys and my fucking yes men and my army will fight my battles for me. And when it comes to me, I'm just gonna run away like a scared bitch. But I mean, every now and then you need to have somebody that's legit, just a legit fucking fighter. And Jericho is slowly turning into the fucking skeeving little bitch too. Though he does great whenever he sits down with that commentary team. I absolutely love it because he sells his competitors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was that one time, what was it, the week before, where he was doing it and then he stopped doing it. He started talking about the other guy. It was on the boat cruise where he was on commentary and he was talking about how great Moxley was and what Moxley can do, and then he kind of went away from that. It's just I don't know. I like Jericho. I
Well,
always have. I think Jericho
was
is one of the best ever. He's not on my fucking Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna tell you that right
well the,
now. Go ahead.
the the commentary that you were talking about, wasn't that one he was trying to win Moxley over before?
No, it
Like
was
he
after
was trying to
that.
get him in the inner circle.
No,
Uh,
it was after. Because
Okay.
he was he's been on commentary like 3 times now.
Yeah.
And he did it
And
this past week and I think the week before. Because it was when him and Pac were having their number one contender match.
okay.
The only thing Jericho is missing, in terms of Mount Rushmore, is the matches. I
Yes.
mean, he's had several good matches, but how many absolutely excellent matches has he had? He's always consistently good. I mean, the one of the reasons Stone Cold's on there is because some of the matches he had is matches that will go down in history for me. I mean, I'm going to throw
Well, it's
Okada
not
on
even
there
his
too.
matches. It's not even just his matches though. For Stone Cold, he transcended the business.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I
I
mean,
will.
so did Jericho to a point.
Jericho was
Yeah.
already there when it transcended though. He didn't
Well, I mean,
transcend
he
it any
transcended
further.
the business in terms of changing it. Like he
No.
went to rock and roll. He had best selling fucking albums, and then he went and started a company with other people. Started the cruise. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's not in my top five, he's sixth in my mind,
I
He's in my top 10 for sure. I'm not gonna
There's
sit here
one
and
other thing people are forgetting. If it wasn't for people like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, cruiserweights would still be in just the cruiserweight picture. They wouldn't have the opportunity
exactly.
to go for the
he's one of the
mighty world
reasons why
title.
like the actual most interesting wrestling you're going to see here is between guys that are 220 pounds,
Hmm.
215 pounds,
Mhm.
not 700 pounds like fucking Loch Ness.
or Yokozuna.
And I will say this, as far as like what you guys are saying with the heels, in AEW right now, I completely agree with you. They don't really have that solidified badass heel.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Jericho.
if no, Jericho's not a badass heel. Jericho's like the funny heel.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry. I know what you
no,
mean.
like I will say this
That
again, if they
actual
did
dominating
happen,
force.
yeah, if they did happen to solidify a contract with Lance Archer, then there's your badass heel right there.
Yeah, you
I
have
mean,
to have someone
you
that
need more than one, but it'll be a starting point.
can run roughshod on the fucking roster if they want to. And
My
I mean,
my
that's
only
the
problem my only problem with I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just lost everything.
Did we lose internet?
No, it's still on.
Oh, where my boobs are getting small. Welcome to my club, Bobbit. Oh, there they are.
Yeah, I'm back. Bobby,
Hey.
turn off your fucking camera, you fucking asshole.
Why?
I gotta hang up the call and come back in. There we go. There we go. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I fucking don't know
There you
what the fuck happened.
Hey, man.
Sorry about that.
Well, maybe there's an update that needs to be done.
Yeah, we probably need an update.
the word in the street is you died in a fire.
I did.
And we're back.
I did. I died in the fire. Sorry about that, guys.
I mean, there's not much left to talk about, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
No, I was getting ready to end the show, but Gina wouldn't shut the fuck up about Lance Archer. So
Because I like Lance Archer. You don't fuck up.
the only thing that I will say is I just don't think right now Lance Archer is that guy that he could be.
He's good on the mic,
I-
though, man.
I understand that, but he's not that
He
guy
uses
that's
a
going
lot
to
of
put butts in
swears.
the seat. He's not going to put butts in the seats.
He uses a lot of swears. Is that what you just said?
Yes, he does. He uses a lot of swears.
You sounded like a kindergarten teacher.
Well, that's the way I feel, okay? He swears a lot.
I just don't think he puts butts in the seats.
Yeah,
Not
boy,
yet.
his
I
name.
agree with you
his
there.
name.
His
Hopefully
name
they
does,
can build.
his name isn't His name doesn't ring to wrestling fans. He rings to me. He rings to Gina. He rings to the actual wrestling fans. But those new fans, his name doesn't ring to people.
I'm
They
telling
don't.
you,
Well,
AEW
I mean,
needs to sign Brock Lesnar's daughter.
but you have to remember too, Lance Hoyt at one point in time was in WWE as well, so it might ring a little bit more than we think.
I don't think it will. It's like Gilbert.
It
Shut
is.
your
Hey.
face.
I actually want him to go to AEW, and I think it'll be a good thing for them.
I do think so too.
I mean, I just want them to have a heel character that's not like fucking always planning in the back, like fucking clicking their fingers together. Oh God, I gotcha. Weirdo
Right.
creep. I did have one other thing to talk about, and it's a
Go ahead.
non-topic, really. There was reports Triple H really wants Okada.
Yeah,
Oh
who
yeah,
doesn't?
I did see that.
Who doesn't want
No,
Okada?
no, you're right, but I think he will do anything to get
Suck
him to.
his dick.
I don't see Kazuchika Okada leaving New Japan, and if he does, I'm sorry, you guys, if he does, and this is not just because I like AEW, I would think that if he did, he would go to AEW just simply because of his friendship that he has with the Young Bucks and a couple of the other guys that are in AEW.
Right now, if he leaves New Japan, he's going to WWE.
Yep.
He's not
Why?
going
Why though? Because
that's the only other step up.
AEW can offer him just as much money, if
It's
not
not about
more,
the money.
along with being with his friends.
I don't think it's about the money, Gina.
I don't think. First of all,
But
I don't think
here's
he's
the
going
thing.
anywhere. But
I don't think he's going anywhere either. And
Me
I
neither.
think that this is one of the reasons why he was pushing so hard for a collaboration with AEW, and so was Tanahashi, because they both said that they were interested to know what else is out there. But they don't want to leave New Japan. So they want New Japan to merge, or not merge, but collaborate with other promotions.
Well, they did. They collaborated with Ring of Honor. I don't understand what they mean by that. That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, but they've collaborated with Ring of Honor. But if you think about it, Ring of Honor doesn't really have that many new athletes. So they're just
Ring
basically
of
wrestling
Honor,
the same athletes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Ring of Honor was the number 2 fucking wrestling promotion before AEW came on board.
Right. I think it has a lot to do because Tanahashi, after he wrestled Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom, he did say, and so did Okada, that they would love for actually Chris Jericho and Tanahashi in their after the match interviews said that the guys in charge of AEW and New Japan need to get their shit together because this needs to work. Because they want that collaboration. They all of the athletes like want to be able to wrestle people that are in another country outside of Ring of Honor. They're already collaborated with Ring of Honor. Now, if the 3 of them would collaborate together, then that would be pretty fucking amazing.
Here's the thing, like the collaboration cost for like 1 or 2 appearances would be astronomical if you're asking for Okada, in my mind. It to me it's akin to asking fucking John Cena wants to spread his wings and fly. Like where is he going to wrestle? And it's like, I mean, in my mind, like if Okada leaves and wrestles anywhere else, it would be short-sighted to not have your first fucking stint in a match at WrestleMania against fucking Triple H.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to see him in WWE. I don't.
I feel like he's not gonna. Why would you?
He's not gonna leave New Japan. He's New Japan's golden boy.
Exactly. And AEW is not as popular as New Japan.
I don't think that he, like I said, I don't think that he wants to leave New Japan because he is the golden boy over there. I think that he just desperately wants.
But the thing is, like, who puts out a fucking thing that says, yeah, Triple H really wants Okada? I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Who wouldn't want Okada, for fuck's sake?
Why is that not news? Or why is that news?
It's like everybody wants fucking Roman Reigns. Well, I mean, yeah, because he's popular as fuck and he's gonna bring in the fan base. But New Japan loses Okada and they're in fucking shit central.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that New Japan would do absolutely whatever it took to keep Okada.
Yep, I do too. I don't think they would lose him, and yeah. But I don't think if WWE did get Okada, I think that they would not underutilize him.
I feel
Sadly.
like the only way they'd ever get Okada is to bring him in on a working relationship, have him featured like Brock Lesnar,
Yep.
and have him work New Japan every time he's not there.
Yep.
The only thing is, it doesn't really benefit either because there's a bunch of American people that be like, "Who the fuck is this guy? Why is he treated this way?" But if it's built right, because the guy can work with anybody and he's fucking ridiculous in the ring.
He is very ridiculous. He's the man, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's number one wrestler in the world right there.
I mean, Kota Ibushi with the Jado punch is right up there.
Yeah, the only thing is they got Kota Ibushi. What'd they use him for? The Cruiserweight Classic, and he lost. So I don't know about WWE and fucking New Japan talents.
Yep. Yeah, well, may never know.
Triple H, we really want you because we're about to reinvigorate the Cruiserweight Classic. It's like I'm 6'4" and like way above like the actual weight.
230, like 230.
We're gonna put you there anyway. You got those Chinese eyes.
So that being said, we're going to end it here. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's good discussion, and it didn't take 5.5 fucking hours. Thank God.
Because I got a new beginning to watch.
No, I'm going to go to bed. So that being said, everybody have a great night. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to add?
No.
Greg, now's your opportunity to add what you wanted to add. Go ahead, say it.
Say it. We know you're thinking it.
He's sleeping.
Mm-hmm. But you know, in his thoughts, he's like fucking debating the most.
I don't even remember what it was. I don't even remember what it was that he said.
I can't. But I remember he was like so.
Oh, it was
Taya.
No, what the hell's her name? That girl. He that's what he wanted to bring up. It was that girl walking out on NXT.
Oh, Taya. Yeah. She walked out on WWE. How do you feel? Good talk.
I don't
care.
Yeah, you know what? Like, good luck. Fuck off. You look like Baby Yoda.
She
No, he was going to talk about the fucking fraudulent activities by WWE. That was sperming his bank account.
Yeah, well, sometimes that happens. Whatever. So that being said, you got anything?
Nope.
Gina, you want to add anything?
No. Good.
Trap? Is there anything? Good talk. Basement? You already said yours. Heather? Anything?
Not even a chance. Not even a chance.
No.
Do you have anything? You already said yours. Yeah, I didn't.
Do you have anything?
No. I just want to see your ass shake.
No, that's not going to happen because I might fall apart.
Turn to dust.
I might, man. I might. So that being said, everybody have a great night, and we will talk to you next week, same time, possibly same time, but it will be the same place. And yeah, catch us Wednesdays on my channel, catch me Tuesdays on my channel, and then catch us. Premiering the next episode of Wrestling Memories, which I'm just gonna say it now. Fucking best episode ever.
Cash me outside where I'm jerking off.
It was absolutely fucking horrendous. But the episode us wasn't horrendous. The show that we did was fucking horrendous.
Yeah, probably the worst pay-per-view ever.
Oh my god. Absolutely fucking atrocious. But so everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you. Have a good night, everybody.
Elena Apollo's forever.
Gina became a Japanese girl.
I said buenas noches. That's fucking Spanish.